All right, so today we are on chapter 12 of your book. Chapter 12 is World Market. And I was thinking about how I was going to introduce it this morning, and I just came up with this one little paragraph I'd like to read. What we are talking about here is the being of human being. That means who we are as spiritual beings, different from our ego. Our ego is a reflection of our minds. This distinction enables us to realize ourselves as part of life itself. We are part and parcel to the awe and the mystery that life is. This generational distinction is the key to getting us out of our own individual minds and connect to the possibility that life is. So I wanted to talk for a minute about my experience with the distinction. The distinction is something that I know it to be true. I see it all around me all the time. I've seen it for years. The people at the market see it. They know it to be real. They've gone back to their countries and, where they have large extended families, and they've come back and said, one thing is for sure, Robert's distinction is real. And that's how they describe it. And as far as the market goes, the market has been able to maintain its competitive edge in an ever more competitive environment over the years. And starting out, when I first met you, you had really just moved into the new building, which was 5 times larger than the old building. You had hired 200 more people with no organizational structure to hire them into. And it wasn't really until you started focusing on this distinction that you were able to really develop an organizational structure that included partnership. We talked about the organizational structure back a few times ago, but so it was really a chaotic environment. I mean, it was very, very chaotic, and over time we've been able to come in through the back door, so to speak. And the reason I say that is because you didn't start off the dream with this distinction. So we had to kind of make it work inside of what we had. And it works. I mean, we've been able to accomplish a lot. It's much more organized. We are still making a profit year after year. We do better each year. And the people at the market, all of them know the distinction. They see it in themselves. They see it in their partners. They see it in their families. And the environment at the market is a really lively environment. It's like the market itself has a pulse, and you can feel it, and you don't really know what it is, but it's different from any other store that you've been into. Any large stores, other farmers markets, they don't have that pulse that we have. And I believe that it is due to balancing the energy in the market. And I've had the experience of, and so have you, of people who have had jobs or positions that took them all over the world, to many different countries, and have been to markets all over the world. And we have both been told individually that the DeKalb Farmers Market has something special, and they can't put their finger on it, but they know it exists, and it's unlike anything they've ever seen. And I attribute that to the generational distinction, our connection to life, and how we have used that to develop the organizational structure, and we still use it today. So you want to talk about it a little bit, about World Market and what that is to you?
Well, it's a necessary step for human being. That's what it is. The chaos that we're in right now, based on the individual, everything is inappropriate to who we are. We're doing opposite. That's our nature. We have to respect it, appreciate it, and benefit from it when we going forward. We've been fighting ourselves, so to speak, the whole time. We're at war with ourselves. So, that's what's reflected out there. People in conflict with each other. So it's time to get our story, straight about who we are. And, everything is doing opposite. It's for balance to be present. Without balance, everything goes out of existence, including us. So we're imbalanced, and we're basically going out of existence little by little. People are not even reproducing anymore. So we've got this thing to have to deal with, like it's right in our face right now. Because this COVID thing, everybody locked up in their individual everything's. That's an example of that. An individual to the extreme, right? You got your own little cubicle, you got your computer. It's basically telling you what to do, and you have to respond back to be able to earn enough money so you can have things delivered to you. Staying away from people because it's dangerous to be around people, and this fear thing just amplifies itself. When's the next wave coming? More and more of this dysfunction is in our lives.
Right.
Our immune systems are at the effect of imbalance. So essentially, by being alone, your immune systems are getting weaker and weaker and weaker. When you're in balance, like we're talking about, our immune systems are actually stronger.
Right.
And our immune systems change depending on what it's confronted by. If they're in really good shape, in terms of our ability to be with each other in this world, we can handle what comes at us. Our bodies are very good at handling what needs to be handled. We're able to see together, don't go this way, go that way, in terms of, actions that we need to take.
Right.
So it really is, one world where we suffer and one world where we don't. And there's a bridge going across it called the generational distinction, and there's no other way to get across. We got to have something in common with each other to get across this thing. And we never had it. The big wall between male and female keeps us from getting anywhere. That wall alone has destroyed everything that we could do together, ultimately. Because, that's not an appropriate way to see ourselves, is basically our gender. What we have to see ourselves is the energy of the universe, because we are the universe, in balance with ourselves, making the difference to it. We've been given that so that we can give it back. We got to be in sync with life,
Right. Yeah.
not at odds with life. Where life has to be controlled. The more you try to control it, the more you can't control it. Everything is dual and opposite. The more we try to legislate some fix to this thing, the more the opposite shows up. So it's like impossible to deal with life where it's the bad guy, where you're separate from it and it's over there and you have to protect yourself from it. Life is who we are. It's in us. We have to get over this idea of being separate from it by understanding the part that we are, the part that we're not, allowing the part that we're not to get in, by opening ourselves up, opening our minds up for the first time so that the other part can really get in by being a request of support. When you know that you're only half this thing in terms of like the way you're designed, you really want to hear from the other half, because, you don't, ahead of time that by myself, I'm seeing what isn't as what is. You're seeing what was as what is. We don't have any connection to what's really going on. We know our limitations, and that's a fundamental strength. So this is the only way to get to this place where, things really feel the way they're supposed to feel, where we're spiritually free, because that's what you're picking up in the market. Yeah. You're picking up these people like actually feeling free, like what they feel like and how they act and how they talk and everything when they really have a connection to life, when they're actually free. And when you walk into it, everybody just feels this thing and they feel like, this is what it could be like. Like you said, Paul Chelko walking into, who's the guy that we loved, did all our artwork and everything else, very sensitive guy who'd been through the Second World War in England and everything else. He comes into the market and he starts crying. Because, this is different.
Yes.
This is the world that we're born to live in. This is, we're designed to live in this world, and that's what we're talking about. So I'm here to support anybody to understand these things. And I know that understanding my worldview is very important as well, because if I don't, then I'm pretty much on this track to create the world that my mother was living in. I appreciate that. I know I was on that. I know I experienced that. I know that something else is possible. So for every father, he needs to really talk to his daughter about what was going on for him when he conceived her. That's her right to have that information. It's his obligation to give it to her. Right. And the same way with a woman and her sons. to explain to them, I really wasn't quite as ready as your father to have a child at the time, and this is what was going on for me, so that they could actually, the son could hear from his mother. And sons love their mothers. They love to be close to their mothers. This is something the mother has to give to their son. If she was angry and upset when she had this boy, and she tells him, look, I'm sorry in a way because I was angry and upset when I had you, and I didn't understand that, that my worldview would be in you, and I'm blaming you for acting that way because, you're angry and upset. I just want to apologize to you. If she simply could do that, it would shift everything in that angry boy. And we know what angry boys are capable of. And we know what angry women are capable of. So fathers and mothers, they have this obligation to the next generation, their own children, to set them straight about what they've been given at conception. And I'm the one that actually saw the opportunity for this. Like my life was supposed to be about this. And I always felt that it had to be something very simple, very easy to understand, that everybody could look at and see for themselves. No belief, no theory, no all this bullshit that's out there. It's truly just something you can recognize for yourself that's so simple. Fathers and sons, opposite energy. Mothers and daughters, opposite energy. My worldview, the way I see the world, the way I operate in the world came from my mother at time of conception. A daughter comes from her father at time of conception. That's the simplicity of this, and it has to be simple to make the difference. There's no other way. It has to be absolutely simple to make the difference. I've always known that. I've seen it as missing. I didn't know what would make the difference for it. I finally prayed for everybody on the planet so we could see this thing, because I really knew intuitively that we hadn't seen what we needed to see. And if people can't recognize this from me, even though I run a farmer's market, if they can't look at me like, this guy's got something to say, something that's important that we should at least look into. I mean, he's proven this for 31 years. It's not like he's just talking about something. Right. He's lived it. The people around him have lived it. We're here to support you. And we know you're lost in the world that you're living in right now, and things are getting worse by the second. If you want to be able to be found in a way that you've never been able to find yourself, then look at what we're talking about and take it seriously. That's the opportunity of World Market right now, to bring the world together as one family that can really support each other the way we're designed to support each other for the benefit of ourselves and the future generations. That's what this is about. Well, I like to acknowledge, the fact that people around me have made the difference to my life, starting with Barbara, because I was ready for someone like Barbara to show up in my life. I'd written, like I said, with a friend of mine, a list of things that would be of interest to me in terms of having some support in my life. And I finally felt like I was worthy of support. Again, through a contracting person that was a friend of mine. I didn't know she was contracting at the time. She was just a friend that supported me in seeing that my life could have something in it in terms of support. So Barbara's been that for me through all the stuff that I've gone through. She's stuck with me. And she's my life partner, this partnership for life. She represents that. So I just want to say thank you to you for everything you do for me. I mean, you provide the food, you provide the home, you provide all the things that allow me to be who I can be. The foundation, that's something solid underneath that I can actually work from, You represent that to me, and I just want to say thank you. And also been tremendous support for Daniel and the upbringing of my son, and now his children as well. So, you're just what makes the difference.
Thank you.
And then I want to say, of course, to the people at the market, mainly the shoppers at the market, because without them walking in the door, we got nothing.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the dedicated people that have been there for the last 40-something years. Some of them, they are the market. It's the market's not a building; it's the people there.
That's right.
So they are the market, and their dedication. And
they're players.
And their heartfelt concern for the place makes it what it is. And even now with just filming this thing here in-house, with Zalam and Santania, the two brothers here that have done such a good job for us. Zalam's been around for years in terms of doing graphic design for us, and it's just an example of us pulling together to try to make something available for other people. And I just wish that people would step forward into this conversation with us, the world market conversation now. Our customers have seen us in terms of the food business. They haven't seen us at all in terms of like this type of thing. So they feel it, but they don't understand it.
Right.
So really the opportunity now is for them to participate in by asking questions and reading the material that's in the book, which is beyond the scope of what we're doing right now. So I wanted to just encourage them, to kind of take it and run with it, and not be limited by the fact that, Robert Blazer is the farmer's market. In other words, Robert Blazer is the world market. And to make the world market a world market, you got to understand this stuff.
Right.
So let's see what can happen now going forward, given the video that we're providing for them.
All right.
All right.
All right. Thank you.